Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast / all the things. Thank you very much for being here. I hope you're good. I hope you're well. You do have a little bit of the soundtrack in the background, and I've just turned off the rest of the people in the stream so I can actually not laugh. I'm still going to do it. But yes, we just had the guild chat. We were talking about music and all the classic people there. I can't do this, even looking at your faces. I can't look at your faces. They're awful. They're fantastic and wonderfully beautiful and all the things. But yes, we're going to talk briefly. We're going to talk about the music stream. There's things to talk about, absolutely, for sure. We're excited about that, but there's other stuff that's been going on in the community recently as well, which we might have a little bit of a word about. And we have some amazing and awesome guests here as well. We have Kroof, we have Rook, we also have Boots, who is back this week. Hello, everyone. Wave or say hello if you want to.
Can I do both?
Hi.
Can I only do one? Yeah, is it?
He said wave or say goodbye.
Goodbye.
No, not goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. This is the most viewed episode of the LightBringers we've ever had because it was short, not 4 hours long. Thank you for saying that, Amanda Gray. That is very nice of you to say. Yes, all of these shows. We're getting the 40th show is going to be next week. It's the 40th show before End of Dragons.
That's perfect.
That is perfect. That's pretty damn awesome. God knows what we're going to talk about. I mean, there's an expansion going on Monday, so there's just a bit. I think I'm just going to call it expansion episode or just expansion.
The calm before the storm.
Yes.
Hey.
That's right. What I should have done was I'm going to do a LightBringers quiz in the future. I'm going to get like 8 people. I'm going to have 4 people on each side, and we're going to do a quiz about Guild Wars 2. I'm excited about that. It's an idea I've had for a while.
That sounds fun.
I think it actually would be awesome. Yeah.
We actually had fun yesterday, Kroof and I.
We did.
I actually went and watched the VOD of that. It was.
We played hide and seek.
Were you wait? Were you co-streaming?
A little
kind
bit.
of.
Jankily, we did.
Kind of. So there was
Jankily.
like. So as you know, I am not a very popular streamer. So I had like
Dude, you
20
don't
people.
stream that much. Like, it's not
Yeah,
about being
like-
popular. It's just
So
about
I had
consistency.
like 20 people in chat, and then
That's
like
awesome.
only 1 or 2 of them were able to actually get in game at the time. So Kroof came on, the life savior, and yeah, it all
The
got
life
going from
savior.
there.
My God, I saw that you were tweeting about doing it. I wanted to. I got so busy yesterday. You got to do more, and
I
then
know.
I'll do more hide and seek. I'll do
It's-
first hide and seek.
It was
We could do it again,
genuinely
yeah.
fun. It was actually, it worked really well in Guild Wars 2, the way that you did it, Boots. It was a great time.
Thank you.
You were there, but
But yeah, you were like the icebreaker, and then it kind of got going. A lot of people came in afterwards. Yeah, it was good.
I love being a good mint.
What?
Icebreaker mints.
Oh,
Icebreaker
okay,
race,
sorry.
yeah.
Yes,
Wow.
that is a hint to go and watch people from the podcast because they do things together. And you should definitely go and check them out. Okay. Today. Actually, wait. Quick intro. Just a quick intro, but also tell me what your favorite sound is. Just sound. Not
Your
music.
voice, Jebro. Your voice.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Just a sound. Just with your intro. I didn't think that one out. Go. Just be inventive with it. I
Yeah,
don't know.
you sure didn't.
You're
Okay,
creative.
no, we'll roll with it. No, we're professionals.
You
We
are.
got this.
You're like professionally trained. I expect you to be bringing it, like that.
It's
Okay.
singing, not in general sound
Yeah, but
experience.
you're like
hearing things in
aren't
general.
you a trained actress like as well? Like, I mean, I don't know. Aren't you?
That doesn't mean you're an onomatopoeia factory.
I mean, more so than
Jebro, I have been waiting for somebody to ask me this question. I have a list of my top 50
Okay.
favorite clowns, and I will now be sharing them with everyone.
Your top 50 favorite
clowns.
clowns?
No, sounds. I said sound,
Sound.
not clowns.
Okay. Sounds. That's
said clown as
harder.
well.
That's harder.
I have a list of my favorite clowns, and Jebro's at the top.
Followed by
you so much.
Pennywise.
Pennywise and Krusty. Sorry, yes, please, Rook, you go first. Why not?
Oh, geez. I love. Oh, I should
No,
probably
you
introduce
just
myself.
the
right?
introduction. Yeah, don't go for the easy bit first. Yeah.
Okay, all right, you're right. It'll give me a little bit of time to sort of work things up. Hey, everybody, I'm Rook. You probably know me already at this point if you've listened to the podcast before, but if it's our first time saying hello, hey there, how's it going? Good to see you. You can find me on Twitch. You gotta stop laughing, Crew, because I can't with you today.
That was a yawn. That was a yawn.
Okay, all right.
Sorry.
I just glanced down.
Wow.
I just glanced down.
You were yawning? That's rude.
My body wasn't getting enough oxygen. My body told me to breathe in.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, you're good. You can do that here. This is not English class. Go for it.
You can all find me on twitch.tv, Rookery, or YouTube, Rookery, Rookuri. Crew has said that I'm the most boring person in all of content creation. So if you'd like a snores fest and to be lulled to sleep, come check me out sometime. You can also find me on Twitter at Rookery_. We play a lot of MMOs, mostly Final Fantasy 14 and Guild Wars 2, and we are a big, welcoming, diverse community that likes talking about a lot of things and laughing about a lot of things. Which brings me to my favorite sound, which is the sound of people I like laughing.
Aww.
God.
I guess anybody, any laughter,
I'm gonna
but
go bash my head
particularly,
against
like,
the wall now.
Yeah.
friends or people you love or YouTubers on this podcast. So
What a pageant answer.
Yeah, it
love the
really
sound
is.
That
I
was
love
a pageant
everyone.
answer. You're right. It was so well done. See, I told you you'd nail it. Like, that was good. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Next, Boots returning
Hi.
to podcast episode 39.
That's me.
How are you doing?
I'm Boots. I'm
That's
good. How are
Boots.
you?
I'm okay.
It's been a while.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It has been. It's good
Been
to
a
see you.
while.
It's good to have you back. We've missed your
Yeah.
face.
Yeah. So, what am I doing here? Sorry,
Intro.
was this?
What do you do? Where do you
Okay.
do it? You just streamed the other
And
day.
this
Twitch.
is why you're not a popular streamer.
I mean, I do not promote
Oh my
myself.
God.
This is
Didn't
true.
you do this before? I swear Kroof did this last
No,
time as well.
Last time.
It was about his face.
Yeah, it was right face.
The
Oh
thing
my
Crew
God.
said last time I was here.
The podcast has been live for like 4 or 5 minutes,
What?
and already Kroof is in there like fire.
Last time I was here, which actually may or may not have played a factor in me not coming back for a few.
Oh,
I think
revealed.
Crew said something about my face being
To be
ridiculously
frank.
Basic.
bland.
No, it's
To be
basic. yeah.
frank, I did not introduce the idea. I simply expounded upon it.
Sure.
Okay.
all right, Curve.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Okay.
Top 10 best Boots portrayals in the
Yeah.
in the LightBringers podcast.
Well, what was I saying?
Intro.
Oh yeah,
What
yeah.
you do?
Boots. I actually just changed my Twitch name to Boots_, instead of Boots _WOE. Yeah. So BOOTTS _. And World of Enders on YouTube as always. If the expansion's coming out, you know what that means.
It's not if.
mean-
It's definitely. I hope so.
Yeah, that means that hopefully some Boots Pad builds will be coming back. And you know what my schedule for doing those is always once every few months. So that's exciting, right?
I need to get in on this Boots bad builds because I used to do this years ago. I need to get in on this. You need to have me as a guest.
I have to tell you something.
Okay, I'm ready.
I hope I did you proud. The other day I was in game and we were trying to figure out what gear to put on, and I said, there's no question, you'll only have to put Celestials on. Everything that you wear should just be Celestial. And then somebody said to me, where did you hear that? And I said, Boots. And I trust him absolutely.
Wait, I mean, okay. True.
It might work
that's
for a
fair.
lot of builds, actually, to be honest.
It does technically depend, but it's a safe shot. It's a safe shot.
That's the
Yeah,
thing,
you're
right?
good.
I think it's good. It actually will be
It's
a safe
so
shot
middle
for an
ground. It's so middle of the road.
Kroof definitely agrees, and I can tell by their face right now. So
Yeah.
I stood by that, and then I did laugh about it, but
What
I
was it?
did.
Can I ask what class it was?
We're getting way off topic here.
What profession?
Just saying.
I'm
though.
trying to remember. It might have been, I don't remember if we were talking about new elite specializations or if it was just that I had loaded it on a character. And like somebody, and it just like there was Celestials and we were joking, and somebody was like riffing off of gear sets, and I said you should just always go Celestials. I learned this from Boots, so that's what I learned.
That's fair. It's gonna be rough actually getting back to Boots bad builds and trying not to use Celestial. Like I'm gonna have to not use Celestial for these builds.
Why?
You can do it for Catalyst.
Yeah, you can for Catalyst. You can for Harbinger as well.
Yeah, I could.
You can. There's Roman build. Absolutely.
I'm gonna try not to. We'll see what happens. And my favorite sound would be the sound. You know. So when you're hiking on a mountain, right? Yeah. And then you get to the point on your hike where there's like nobody really else around except for very far away, and you're near the tree line. You're not past the tree line, so you're not above the trees, but you're like just sort of in where the trees are a little bit shorter, and you could sort of see further, and the wind is blowing. The sound is the wind and the quiet.
This is one sound.
Tree line.
This is one.
It's a very complex sound, and Boots was taking us there emotionally.
Mm-hmm. It was a journey.
Yeah,
you cheated. All right, you cheated. It's fine. I get.
I actually know exactly what that sound is like, and I love it. Yes.
Good. Excellent. Also, Criff, you got to do me proud now. I've had failure today.
Oh, great. Okay.
I'm joking.
I always have your back, Jebro.
Thank you, Boots. I appreciate you being here. Thank you for taking the time.
My pleasure.
This is my turn.
It is your turn. I'm sorry.
Kaggle bathroom teacher. Hi, everyone. I'm Kruv. I do a lot of Go Wars 2 stuff over on YouTube. I'm doing a little bit of Lost Ark. I'm slowly collecting footage to make some videos about that. But I also stream here on Twitch Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and sometimes Saturdays when I train raids. So much fun. And then as for my favorite sound, I will have to say that I was already talking about this in the last segment of the stream, but when a metal cable is pulled tight and you kind of flick it and it does like a it's like a twing sound, it's really cool. Or I really like this one too. That was also pretty good.
Did you just yell into your crotch?
Into the floor, maybe.
I had to like give myself
yell into your crotch. I think that's a different sound, isn't it?
I think Krupp is trying to avoid our ears blowing out.
Yeah. Potentially.
I had to bring the onomatopoeia.
That's my new favorite sound. Can I change mine?
What?
I think we all just love the crotch shout.
The crotch shout is my new favorite sound.
I mean, if you want that to be a sound, I guess.
Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Just look at your crotch.
Yeah, happy Valentine's Day. You're only 4 days late. And that's what you get for crotch screaming. Okay, so I don't know what's happening anymore. It is another episode of LightBringers, which makes complete sense. So that's where we are. Twitch.tv/JebroUni every week at the moment. We have one more show until End of Dragons. Episode 40, they planned it. They were like, we want to make sure that episode 40 is going to be special. We can't launch End of Dragons before. So that is why it is pretty much late. I'm pretty sure that is exactly why. And no one can argue with me. The sound that I like, the sound of...
Silence.
The sound of silence. Yes, I like it.
The sound of silence when he's trying to do the intro to the show.
Yes. Yeah. The sound of silence when Jebro is trying to talk and his apartment is full of construction noises.
Oh, God.
You just dream
the sound
of
of silence would be nice, to be fair. Yeah, I'll roll with that. Okay. I will definitely roll with that. Otherwise, yes, please go watch. Also, Anchor, Spotify, iTunes, all the things. Check it out weekly. Yes, so that was a stream. We just had the guild chat for the music part of End of Dragons, and they were featuring it, talking about the influences, the do's, the don'ts, the whys, the hows, the whens, and also about Chris' face.
Wait, what? Oh. Chicken Nooble just said something that I didn't realize.
And me neither.
What?
There's 6 maps. They confirmed 6 maps.
6?
I said 6! Kroof! I said 6!
Where?
The other week!
No, you didn't.
Yes, I fucking did!
You said more than 4. I don't think...
I said 6!
What would the 6 maps be?
I don't know, but I said 6.
Okay, so we got Sing J.
Oh, okay. Arborstone and the Guildhall, those don't count.
Yeah,
Mama,
they count. Of course they
get out of
count.
here.
What are you talking
No.
about? It's a map.
No,
It's a
look-
literal map. You
Don't
press
make it
M.
into-
Yes, well, it is a map. I don't know if they put the Guildhall in there.
But the
don't
Guildhall
know.
is a separate map.
Yeah, like I don't know if that would be.
Oh, now
included,
it's a
but
map, is
maybe-
it? Now it's a map.
content. It's not content.
What do you mean it's not content? It's
my
a
God.
guild. It's Wow,
Wait,
Kroof,
now,
someone
hold on.
clip that. Kroof just said guilds are not content. Wow.
Okay, so I am hoping that if you're saying the 6, it is 6 full-fledged maps, and it's not Arborstone and because it could just be Arborstone and the Guildhall, which is the 6 maps, the 2 extra. Which would, yeah, okay. But I was very excited for a second.
I know,
there.
I was too. I was like, I know there's 4 actual gameplay meta maps. But then I was like, I know of the Guildhall, so that would make 5. I was like, what was 6? Arborstone. Yeah.
I mean, I guess that could be it.
That could be.
Maybe there's also something with like we saw a bit of old Kainang, we saw a bit of like maybe there are a few that are surprises. I don't know if we can really say either way at this point because they
Yeah.
could have easily have just included everything and put Guildhall and stuff in that number, but they also could have, you know, not put those in because I agree they're not necessarily like explorable open world content maps, you know what I mean? Arborstone is like an area, you know, but it's not. Yeah,
It's like a sub area of a map, kind of. You'd think.
I thought it was going to, be in... Okay, well, we'll see. I'm going to stick this on. Yes, they've got the YouTube version. Woo! This is good. Okay, because I want to listen to some of the tracks and get your thoughts as well. I know this is going to be difficult to find because it's 1 hour and 45 minutes long, which is actually one of the longest.
Somebody
Have you got it for the actual video for the stream just
Yeah,
now,
yeah,
or are
that's
you talking about the...
I got the I got timestamps for the slums and the first demo of the main theme.
Okay, cool. Let's do...
I think those are really only the 2 ones that they showed.
I think, well, other than the beginning intro
Yeah.
The
music,
main
right?
theme that we've That's also floating around on YouTube. Like that shaman posted it in Mishram.
Yeah, this is this the main thing? I don't think this is. I think they had a few tracks, didn't they?
the one that opened the stream was the main theme. So I believe that they
Okay.
previewed for us the main theme. We got a snippet of the slums, right? We got a snippet of an early draft of the main theme. And then the piece that they played towards the end where they were talking about audio mixes, was that a separate track or was that part of the main theme?
I think that was a separate track.
I thought so too, yeah. But I don't
Maybe,
know if
yeah.
they specifically
It
said
didn't
what it
sound
was.
like the main theme.
I can't remember. We can go and have a look.
So okay.
Did you
So
like
did you
it? There you
get
go,
which,
bitch.
which specific one?
Well, did you? I think let's do first impression. I'll have the tune in a little bit
My
louder in the
first
background.
impressions are this. I think that was a very well done stream, and I really enjoyed like I turned up the volume on the cast really loud so I could drown out us talking all the time. And so I really liked the insight that they had.
I'll
and,
get
like,
that comment again this week. Every week it's the same. Someone says, "Oh, I wish you guys wouldn't talk. Wish you people." Sorry. Definitely pick me up on the using the guys thing, okay? If I do that.
I do it often too, yeah.
Peeps. Yes. There is someone every week who does it. They say, I wish you wouldn't talk over the thing. And I'm like, hi there. In the title, it said, if you're watching this, and you specifically, young personage,
Is it
Okay.
possible that it's an ongoing joke now?
I don't know.
I
It
don't
could
get
be.
those
They may,
comments
I
on
don't know.
YouTube. Like
Okay.
if you do a trailer reaction, they're like, "Why are you talking?" I'm like, "Why don't you go watch the trailer?"
Yeah,
That's
go watch
exactly
the
what I
trailer.
said.
Yeah.
And now I put the link in as well, and I was like, anyway, Boots. Yes,
All right, so I was
said it good.
saying, I was listening to the commentary, and I mean, they're clearly extremely passionate about what they're doing. They're very knowledgeable about what they're doing, and it was just very informative and very interesting. And every time they brought music and did clips of the music and played it, I like it just added so much to the stream as well on top of what they were saying.
Yeah.
And so for me, I personally loved the stream, but would have loved to have 50% more music into it, maybe. clips of the music. But as it was also very good.
Cool. Okay. Proof?
Same exact notion from Boots. Really loved. It was very educational. This one in particular, I enjoyed. I mean, most of the time when we watch these, I try not to talk as much. But this one in particular, I was like, I want to learn. I want to feel like I'm leaving away with something. So that was really great. But I entirely agree that while this was really good and very entertaining, there could have been a little bit more structure to it. By when they talk about the maps, showing a flavor, a little taste of what we can hear from that map and how that map is different than the others. So they could have used a little bit more of that actual musicality, but this felt kind of like a panel that you'd find at like a convention where the developers are talking about the behind the scenes, which is wonderful, but in a live stream format leading up to marketing an expansion, showing and demoing a little bit more of that music, I think, was extremely important. So I would have liked a little bit more.
Okay, cool. And finally, Brooke.
I loved it. I mean, I really honestly did. And we talked a little bit while we were doing our reactions about the fact that, in case any of you didn't know, I did a double major in vocal performance and theater performance. So for me, discussing things about music, although I was not a big fan of music theory, but I learned what I had to. I just think it's boring. Every like musician ever is like, Rook, how could you? But I always was more drawn to the performance aspects, right? And then learned what I needed to. But it is still amazing to get to see something that bridges the gap. A lot of times, people don't understand the language of music. And so that's why things like music theory are so important. That's why teaching the language of what it means to speak through song, of what it means to emote, of what cultural, things can be communicated through music, of the experience of creating a game and the atmosphere and setting and zone, and how music supports the experience that we have and helps foster that for all of us to create a tangible world that we are a part of the action in. Is something that is so fascinating and I love to see more of. So for me, this was fantastic. I thought it was one of their more polished streams. I thought, honestly, all the snippets, the tidbits, the slides, the pictures of the instruments, the footage of the orchestra, the sound design stuff, all of that to me felt the most interesting and diverse. It felt like it was the best realized. I just think it's a little unfortunate that it was positioned where it was. Because I think if this had been like one of the first live streams that we got, and then like all the other live streams had been, as opposed to like Jade Sea, right? Like if they took us on a tour there, or Kainang City, right? And those streams were really fun. But if they had done something production quality wise like this for those, where like then they were kind of building off of this, like now we're gonna have the art team talk about how they've integrated the cultural influences in these things and concept art. Like I think overall it would have been a stronger package of live streams. It's just kind of unfortunate because this one, which I think was one of the best, was right here before the expansion release. So it's a lot of weight to be put on a music stream when people are really curious now more than ever about expansion features.
But it is interesting because I think you're right. It is probably their strongest one. So it's weird. And I do, they didn't take advantage of it that much though, you're right. Because like, I think Kroof was saying that for the more music we might have wanted in it, maybe 50% more music, would have been where every time they were describing a map and describing the music that they wanted to make for it and the music that they did make for it, just play a small clip and maybe just a splash of what the map looks like. And because it's positioned after all the maps that they already showed us in the past streams, it's not spoiling anything anymore. Except for the 10 seconds of the music they might be playing. So yeah, I think that's the one thing I might have changed, but otherwise I really enjoyed it.
Okay, I'll give my reactions. I agree with you all. I did really enjoy it. I said during the stream, I said during the reaction, which may have sounded worse, maybe than thinking about it, but I did enjoy it. It was good. It was really, really fascinating. That is the kind of thing I will go and watch back again to, a couple of times probably to just learn more about themselves. Because it showed a lot of personality as well about them specifically as creators, as designers, as artists, just in their own way and of processing. Because I love hearing that, how people think about their creations and what their own way of thinking about things. So that's always interesting. Also, I think they do have a couple of other songs in this. They haven't got just the main theme in the intro music, so we're kind of listening to that a little bit right now if you're kind of on the stream. I'm not sure if this is from, and it sounds so much similar to other Guild Wars 2 songs, I'm not even sure anymore. But yeah, it's just, I think originally maybe they just had a different order, and maybe they just didn't have the prep time for this, because it sounds like maybe they needed more time. I don't know. I feel like they've got a surprise for next week. I also don't think that's a good thing. But I think I like surprises, but I think like with the amount of probably they need to be, I think we're feeling this. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. I don't want to speak for everyone. I hate doing that. But like, there should be this real ramp of like, here we go. There's the expansion. Hell yeah. Boom. And at the moment, it's like,
Ruby left off. She left off mentioning, and by the words that she chose and the energy around her voice, she was like, you don't want to miss what we're going to be showing every single day leading up to this expansion. So that does cast a light of like, they might be showing us very cinematic aspects of boss fights or meta event encounters, or even just like snippets of the story, like speaking with Aurene, a prologue. I really wonder what they're going to be showing within this last week, because it is kind of a, much like February, this is a week of like a dead zone almost.
Well, that's it. Like where else? Because they only said that to 1,000 people, Griff, as well. There was only 1,000 people in the stream. So that was the stream as well. So there would have been a lot of developers watching that, a lot of people at ArenaNet. So like people wise, you're looking at less than the K. There's not many, and like that is, and which is unfortunate. And also that is only Twitch. I didn't check YouTube. Yeah. So
YouTube
that
as well, and then post views too.
Facebook as well, I think, is live. But so that's something I haven't taken into account. It's actually very interesting. I think Twitch gets the most views, but I want to say that YouTube must have been close. If anyone checked, I don't know. I've watched it. Even if you're watching the show and you watch on YouTube, let us know, or you watch on Facebook. It'd be interesting, because I think a lot of the time I only think about Twitch. So it would be interesting to see if Guild Wars 2 genuinely just does better on other platforms other than Twitch. Because I actually feel like ArenaNet would be more of a company outside of Twitch because of what Twitch is like. I hate to say that, but like, I actually feel like they might do better on other platforms, to be honest. But sorry, Rick, go.
No, I was also just going to say, while you were talking, it dawned on me, I'm curious about how much of it might also have something to do with the date and times that they broadcast it. Because it's funny, this is just my personal experience, but I always find that, at least for me on stream days, Friday afternoons tend to be one of the slowest, and then it ramps up like around 5, 6 as people get off work, because usually they're trying to like finish things up. Now, of course, that's just for a Western audience. So like for those of us who are within particularly American time zones and stuff like that, for me, it's a great time, but I do wonder if like, yeah, different times, different days. I mean, all of that aside, I don't necessarily think that the viewership numbers really are like the main takeaway from this particular stream.
No, not at all.
But it is something we talk a lot about, and it is something that when it comes to, like we were saying, a stream, the last stream theoretically before the expansion drops, you would expect to see like a ton of giveaways and a whole bunch of stuff, and like, or you know, something like that.
Right.
Twitch drops.
I saw one person in the directory's got drops because he just puts it in his title every single day. And he just gets a tons of viewers. There's a newer streamer as well. And I'm just like, really? And that's how you do it. There you go. Anyone who wants to be a Twitch streamer, just put drops in your title and they might pipe by. Anyway, I should have done that with LightBringers. I'll do it next time as a joke. Episode 40, we're gonna get drops. I will drop. But no, actually, Kroof will drop bombs in the podcast early, probably about boots. Okay, so.
Did you know they nerfed Flamethrower Scrapper?
Already going into the other tangent.
Wait, when did they nerf Flamethrower Scrapper? What are you talking about?
When it comes out in EOD.
Wait.
We didn't want to interrupt you, Jebro.
Okay. Yes, a forum post just went live for PvP balance, but
no, we have to do it. We have to go there now.
Well,
I'm sorry.
We should talk. We should talk music first.
We are going to talk music first. Sorry, thank you for keeping me on track. Okay, sorry, I just got excited. Okay, why did you tell me?
I did too.
Why did you tell me?
My face went.
All right,
I
we'll
wasn't
talk
gonna
about
say
it.
anything. I wasn't gonna
Wait,
say
wait,
anything.
Rook, you
get
can
too-
read it. There
Don't
you
get
go.
too hyped. Don't get too hyped. It's not that huge.
Well, I mean, it's pretty.
But good things
some
that they
things
hit.
that needed to happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
all
just
right.
don't understand the flamethrower scrap.
It's too strong and too easy to play.
I agree.
Can someone link it in the chat, please?
It's
Also,
in Discord
I will.
too.
Oh, okay, it's in Discord. Thank you. Okay, we'll talk about the stream first. Sorry. Get randomly excited though. I'm also going to go back and play the intro so we can have the awesome music in the background. But if we judge this stream strictly, and this isn't McLean's fault, this isn't anyone else's fault to do with, you know, in terms of that, the actual content of the stream was very good and it was very respectful, it was very inclusive, and talking about the influences and talking about giving us so much more information, talking about the individual instruments, giving us the names, giving us images, like the amount of research that just went into that from, you know, just putting on the screen was really appreciated, and the passion as well. I think sometimes, McLean just did actually reply to his own tweet advertising the stream, just saying he probably talked doubly as long as he wanted to. That's absolutely fine. I don't care. Talk about the thing you love. That's great. Passion is good. We love it. That's cool. Just always do that. I think again, as a pre kind of what kind of Rook was saying and what I was saying, we've all kind of said, just the positioning is just a bit unfortunate. Otherwise, love these. Could they be a video on YouTube instead of a live stream sometimes? I mean, that could be an argument for that. There could also be the argument of sometimes these things could be pre-recorded and edited down, so they're more succinct, more like kind of you can edit some more images in, like kind of what Krooves was saying, just sliding some footage and stuff in there. And also, you know what would have been really good? To have that surround sound effect.
Surround sound.
Yeah,
Surround
that's
sound.
Surround sound actually sounds good. But showing that to us, showing those technical parts that we do kind of miss, like just going into the game, like here's the soundtrack and here's this thing and here is how we use this effect here. And it just would have been, I think that kind of would have been interesting, maybe too hard to do, and also showing us too much of the map and too much effort to do that. But I don't know.
You want to get directly into the music?
If you want.
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, yes,
do it.
yes.
On
yes.
that.
Which song?
Okay.
What, the
So-
song specific stuff, or is
Main
it?
Let's talk about. So the first is the main theme, I guess. We could go chronologically in the stream, I guess. Yeah, the main theme. I think it sounds fantastic. I don't know about you guys.
I agree. I love it. I definitely got more, not necessarily just Heart of Thorns, but the energy that Heart of Thorns main theme brought. It felt like there was a momentum of like, oh, I'm about to log in. Path of Fires was a little bit more somber or calm at times. It felt very desert-like. So I like that we're kind of returning to the energy builder that was, say, Heart of Thorns.
And it really, what is energy building about it? One of the things is one of the things they mentioned in the cast, which is as opposed to a more Western thing where you have the harmony and the melody. In Korean culture, I guess they have. I'm just hearing what they said. They have more a melody-driven piece, and when you have a large band of people playing, it's not all intertwined with each other necessarily. Everybody's playing the melody and it's driving it home, and that's definitely what you hear with that main theme.
Oh, I agree.
Da, 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 da. Yeah.
And the whole thing with that is that a melody is really what I think anchors us, right? In like an emotional narrative. It is in and of itself almost a sentence. It is a thought. It is an expression. And of course, when you layer different things like harmonies, or you play with, different tonal things or all sorts of stuff, you then write maybe more of an essay. This is my big metaphor I'm coming up with right now. But really, when it comes down to it, that melody is always going to be that key thought, that key concept. And we talked about this a little bit during the live stream, but one of my favorite things to study actually in music school was international music. And it's unfortunately something that is, I can't say this across the board, but a lot of times, and especially a lot of music schools in the West, there is this I went to a very prestigious music school, so I feel pretty good that this is a standard. I just want to clarify with this. There's an idea that Western music is in and of itself the peak of all musical development, and that any other world music or international music or music that comes from different cultural traditions is like fun, but not actually the pinnacle. And
is it kind of sprinkled in there as like a because it's a bit like that in almost counseling as well, you know, the West is like, but we talk about, you know, other cultures and making sure people are inclusive and but like focusing on the fact that a lot of it's all Western is this like the best and kind of like the most knowledgeable and
that it's like the peak of evolution, right? And yet, when it comes down to it, one of the things I was most excited to learn was that many other places, regions, cultures, traditions, right, have actually developed certain facets of music far more than the West has. Yeah. So harmony is something that has played a really large role in Western music. But in other musical traditions, everything from melody, like we were talking about in anchoring this, to rhythm. If you think about traditional Japanese music, and I just think this is so fascinating. Actually, Indian music, which has its own range of traditions as well, but Japanese music too. If you think about traditionally that like strike, right? So like you may not even realize that you have been listening to something that has a tradition like that, and yet you are. So all of that to say, sorry, I'm going to be a big music nerd today, and I apologize for rambling so much. But all of that to say, there's so much to take away from those traditions, and honing in on a specific influence like Korean music. And then to also turn to the performers of that music, to those, you know, who are even writing contemporarily, to those who might be more knowledgeable in the history. Oh my gosh, you can feel it in the texture of this piece, and I love it so much. So much.
And you could really tell the difference between that piece and the original attempt that I think Jebro played a little bit earlier. Jebro, can you do me a favor, actually? Can you play the what McLean...
The sketch?
The sketch,
yeah, sure. I did just play it while Rick was talking. I was 47, wasn't it?
But can you play it? And then in chat, I have I put a link to the original Guild Wars Factions theme, and just try to play them one after the other.
Sure, I can do that. I think I might have to do a little bit of jiggling around here. Is it a YouTube video?
It is, yeah.
Okay. All right, I'll play this first. This is the sketch. I'll play it louder.
I mean, they're not identical, obviously.
No, it's okay. Let's let people listen. You can listen. I guess it'll be a bit delayed, sorry.
And then we have a Heart of Thorns song.
Yeah. I mean, I actually, it's still part of it, but like, it's still, I didn't mind the beginning. I think Kroof said as well, they didn't mind the beginning either, just because of that kind of like, there was little sprinkliness. Nice.
But then when you play the Canthan,
it kind of just ended, right? It was right abrupt.
They had like a great beginning, and they had like that, similar to what they were going with for New Cunning City. They have some sort of technological backing tone to it, like the doodle-doo-doo. It's so interesting. It's unexpected for a Guild Wars 2 main theme. That's why I really enjoyed it. But yeah, they had a great solid start, and I was like, oh, this is really beautiful. And then they were like, and back to what we know. And it's like, if you would have just kept that through line, that would have maybe been interesting, but
for spacey looks.
The drum line unfortunately devolves into like, I think one of the most commonly used fantasy things, which is the like like, which you can hear in many other things. You can also, I immediately thought of like the Dragon Age Inquisition soundtrack, like, so it definitely doesn't sound, it's beautiful and the pieces are beautiful, but it doesn't sound as coherent as the piece that we get to preview, and as textured and as layered and as like richly interwoven.
Actually, it wasn't Heart of Thorns. I think it's just like the battle song of Guild Wars 2.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
It feels like something we've heard.
Is this the... Oh, yeah. Oh, that song. Now I know the song you were talking about. Okay. Yeah.
It does have a very similar.
It does, but that's
They
good.
definitely drew from.
Oh yeah, had
this.
to, right?
Yeah.
They've got to do that. It's
At
very
least as a
good.
starting point. If we're going back to Cantha, you always got to go back to what already was and like, okay, how do we change this?
Yeah, so this is Cantha, and so I was telling you guys before the stream started that at least half of the reason I wanted to go back to Cantha and Guild Wars 2 for so long is because of, obviously it's so beautiful, but the music, every time I launched the game back in Guild Wars 1, that would come on, and so when Guild Wars 2 first came out, in the soundtrack, in certain parts of the world, there is music from Guild Wars 1, right?
Yeah,
Like the Thunderhead beats and stuff like that.
Ebonhawk and stuff like that, yeah.
Exactly. Do you think that they would add this song into End of Dragons as well? Because if they do,
maybe.
and if I hear it in game, I would melt, I think,
Well,
from
maybe
nostalgia.
a remix version, or maybe like an
I'm
undertone, probably.
I'm going to put my money on yes. And if not, I highly recommend adding it in last minute if you can. But
Yes,
they did it
please.
with
They
Path
can't
of
do
Fire.
that because the final's coming.
they
can't do it now.
But with Path of Fire, they actually put in a lot of tracks from Nightfall. So they definitely go back to their source from Guild Wars 1
I think
and
they use
at
it as
least pull
filler.
some things.
Yeah, I think they use
Yeah,
it as filler as well, to be
it's
honest.
often used
Not bad
to-
filler, but like...
To kind of fill out the environment that you're in. If like that one particular track ends and they go through the cycle of the next one, they kind of like to go back to what people already were like, oh my god, this is Guild Wars 1.
Yeah,
We're in the
this
same
is-
location.
This is the Guild Wars 1 song right now, I guess. Like Guild Wars official, and I completely forgot this was even in Guild Wars actually. So like there is a lot of Guild Wars 1 soundtrack used in Guild Wars 2. There is so much
there is.
used.
So actually, No Espresso makes a good point. I could just add the song to my sound folder
Too much
if they don't have
work.
it.
But I think they will probably add some.
Yes, and as a composer, I can only assume, especially when you know, just like the narrative team, just like the artistic team, right? They all know that they're hearkening back to something. Guild Wars 1 is the basis. Cantha, as it was, depicted in Factions, is the basis of where they started to build this new iteration. So I have no doubt that in some of the musical motifs and things like that, they have integrated things that will be recognizable. I would also just caution people though, like I don't think anybody of us on this cast are doing this, but because I know how the internet works and we've all been here for a while, I would caution everybody not to be like, if it isn't just the Faction soundtrack, I hate it, because it's one of those things too where like I already have seen people just being like, oh, I can't believe it. I thought that it was all gonna be Japan like Factions, or I thought it was all gonna be, and then it was gonna be a big mix, and I just don't know if I'm gonna
You've
be
seen
okay
people
with
doing
it.
this?
Yes, or like I don't know how I feel about it being Korean music inspired, and I'm like, this is
That was
amazing.
bad.
I don't know if I've seen anyone saying that.
Bro,
Have we?
like touch
Hopefully not.
grass. Go
Jesus.
outside and touch some grass. This
Yeah, right.
There's a
I think-
lot. There's
I
a lot of
think-
energy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
God,
right.
they really did nerf Flamethrower Scoper. Sorry.
Jebro, on topic.
I'm sorry, but by now, if people are watching the content, like watching this show, or they're even anywhere near my channel, watching or they're listening to the Lightbringers just anywhere, those people probably have way filtered off by now that have that opinion. And if you do, go away. You're very welcome, but change your opinion.
Yeah, and I think now more than ever that's so important, right? Like
Yeah, absolutely.
it's like what we heard is gorgeous, and honestly, I'm just going to be real here. I think that for the vast majority of people who are not versed in the diverse array of traditions and musical distinctions that come from East Asia, saying it as a term but not a monolith, right? Because there are so many different variants and peoples within that.
Of course.
I don't even know if listening to it, they'll really tell the difference. So what I would ask
That part.
is that, like, you listen, and that's why I was honestly so impressed as well by this stream today, to take the time to say, like, and as a composer as well, to be like, I learned a lot from this. Let me share some of this. Like, let's talk about these instruments. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about the tradition, yes, that Cantha brings in, but then also talk about the journey that I took specifically studying Korean music, which I'm so glad they did, because, oh my gosh, like, there's a big tendency, I think, for composers just to be like, I'm just going to make something that kind of sounds Asian, and they pick a flute, and then they just put some drums, and it's like,
one of the things in the stream that like really hit home for me, well, not hit home, but that really made me what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that one of the things that was said that was really interesting to me, that's the word I was looking for, it was really interesting, was when McLean said he had written a piece for the finger picked thing that he thought was a little bit like a harp, and it is a little bit like a harp, but so he wrote a piece that was very harp-like, that would have been able to be played by a harp, but it just doesn't work that way because it's less like a harp than it is like a guitar, because one hand is picking on like 4 or 5 strings while the other hand is changing the sound of those strings, rather than a harp where all the strings are a sound and then you play it as it goes and there's a ton of them. So he probably had a song that had a lot of very fast notes possibly, that is impossible to play on this instrument. So he had to rewrite because he didn't have the knowledge of what is actually he had to probably collaborate very closely with the instrument players as well and ask them how this is going to work, and then been able to do it that way.
It's interesting as well how something that I actually think is interesting as well is in terms of you talking about learning and about the specifics of going, essentially zooming into like this call, right, where they're collaborating over across the world, like really. I mean, I know we're on the West Coast, so we're a lot closer to like Korea, like than you know, depending on where else everyone is in the world. But like, I wonder how much the pandemic played into this. Like, it's really interesting how, you know, we've learned how to work so much differently in the last 2 years than ever before. Like, I'm counseling people online via telehealth rather than being in a room with them. So many nuances that are very different. Like, it's very different if the energy of someone being in a room with you is very different for them being online. And sometimes there is a lot of skill involved in getting that feeling across, as well as like receiving it and being able to listen and in a new and completely different way. So being able to communicate, I would have loved to hear that conversation actually, the communication of how they were able to really get the feeling across over online. Like, I mean, I know music is very different, but just like talking about it and trying to compose something together in a space that is online completely, and you're not in that space and you can't feel the music in the room. I just feel like that's something very, very interesting, and that he's going to be like, you know, with the pandemic as well, and because obviously they wouldn't have been able to just go to South Korea like all the time, like that probably helped a lot in the training for this and the communication during COVID at the heaviest time of this. It probably helped a lot. Like, and I'm just wondering how much they learned from that. And also, I did ask a question. I tweeted them. I said, like, I wonder how much you learned from not doing this in Path of Fire, because it feels like it didn't happen. And I'm hanging on a reply for this right now, because I want to know, I would love to know, like, is that the reason why they felt they even went more specific, or is it because it's Camphor and Camphor is so important to Guild Wars 2 and so important for the fans in Arena that they've literally gone that extra mile for this in terms of being, I mean, I know they're always inclusive, but in terms of like production on that level of going like essentially with people.
It's because they knew I really wanted Cantha, so they really went the extra mile.
Yeah, they did it just for Boots. McLean told me they did it for Boots. No, I mean, I think some of it is also a general shift right now in the way we make games, and/or media, and the discussions that are happening around this. So much I see people, and of course, there's always such a thing as taking it too far in many different ways. But so much I see people being upset about the idea of like, well, if you're going to represent a group or a culture or people, you should probably have done some research. And it's like,
yeah,
what? I mean, I wouldn't write. I do for my own enjoyment. If I hadn't broken my foot at some point and I had no idea like what a foot break was like, and that I wrote a character that got their foot broken, I would research it. Like, let alone when you're like researching anything as large as like bringing in a diverse group of collaborators and writers. And I loved this because there's something to be said as well about allowing people the opportunity to tell their own stories in whatever way they connect with. And we've seen that like across the board with Guild Wars 2, and especially recently, right? They're using pronouns on all of their live streams. They are talking about and hiring voice actors that are diverse. Their writing team is diverse. It's incredible to just see all of this. And then to also see that in the music, they've collaborated with actual Korean performers. They've actually worked through all of this, right? And I think a lot of that is because it is a larger conscious cultural awareness shift that more and more it's being called out, and it should be that there
even
should
more
be
so,
discussion.
right? In the last two, or literally since Path of Fire, that's just such a good point, Rook. To be fair, like since Path of Fire, it's ramped up hard, right? Even more so.
Yeah, and I think that awareness is there, especially when it comes to a company that, at least with ArenaNet, we've seen constantly strive to be more inclusive. I was just on a podcast for 14 the other day, and I was talking to them, and everybody on it was a group of LGBTQI plus players, and they've been in content creation for a really long time. And we were talking about even LGBT rep in games, right? And it got brought up. Everybody was like, oh, well, you know, the cultural shift and all this stuff. And like, just now we're starting to see queer characters. And I was like, yeah, except for the fact that Guild Wars 2 had an on-screen, in-season lesbian kiss in 2013. And like, people don't realize.
Yeah, it was 2013. Was that 2013?
Yeah.
It was a long time ago.
That
Yeah.
was.
And this context was a
century.
discussion. Yes, like this context was a discussion about like
Don't say
two
that,
characters that are really ambiguously kind of into each other, who might be at least bisexual in 14, but who aren't canonically confirmed and aren't shown, you know, like, so it's one of those things where ArenaNet has always been progressive. We've just seen more and more that I think they realize they have a responsibility to the stories and the stories of the people that they're telling and the way that they want to use inspiration in their world. And that's awesome, honestly.
It is awesome.
It's richer for it.
Really good care of their stories, but also their music. And I think to talk about the pandemic aspect, I think it opened up a lot of opportunities with people and companies feeling more comfortable to use the internet as a extremely useful tool to then hire individuals in South Korea, to have it mixed in Argentina if that's where they did it, or contact people in Florida. Using the internet and our modern day resources to go to the sources and collaborate with those individuals that you are taking inspiration from.
I mean, it's a budget thing as well.
Yeah,
right?
It helps. I don't think they would have flown back and forth to South Korea. I think that the internet has a great tool, and I'm so happy to see that they actually went and to these different regions and hired these people and worked with them.
Well, that's the thing as well, like specifically, and because if they didn't do that and they did fly, they might have, like, it would have, budget would be an issue, because like even if you bring people over, like they've got to have somewhere to stay, they've got to be in a hotel, they've got to do all this stuff, and it's like, you know, if they go there, it's the same thing, flights, all that kind of stuff. So it's like, so then there's the it's tempting to use more local people who might be from those regions but aren't there in those regions, like witnessing the evolution of music as well, really, in their time that they've even just been alive, and just the history and where they've learned, you know, because it's different. Like if you learn in another country about music, like Rook said, you know, like Rook literally told us, you know, the West is favored. I would assume that is not the case in Korea. You know, it's like, it is wonderful, really, how much that can really bring and immerse people just so much more into an experience in the game as well. It's gonna be cool.
I mean, it's also obvious that like accurate representation and careful representation and learned representation is not just important to the people who are from Korea, for example, in this case, experiencing the content and being like, hey, that's pretty good. but it's also important to everybody else who doesn't know that content and doesn't know that culture. And if you're just exposed to, like old spaghetti westerns or old, tropes of Asia all over the world that we've had in media until now, possibly going to the future, you have a very limited worldview. And if you have proper representation and accurate things, then that worldview expands and everybody's better for it.
I agree. And we've already seen, I mean, from top to bottom, all of this expansion is going to be a big like there's a lot of inspirations. There's a lot of different things. I mean, I've seen so many people like, oh, well, now they're just turning they're turning Kantha into Korea strictly. And it's like, well, but we've seen in all the zones that there's still an incredible amount of cultural inspiration in the live stream chat and stuff like that. That like, and it's one of those things where like, I do understand that, of course, there are many places that add to a rich texture, but like, if you haven't been like watching the zone previews or the trailers and all this kind of stuff and noting all of the different cultural influences from architecture to even the, oh my gosh, the history of Kantha, fam, like, let's be real, it is like Chinese history in so many ways, with all these different like rising in power and the unification of different disparate tribes and all this different stuff, where like, if you can't notice those inspiration sources, it may be that you yourself are not versed really specifically in the source material. So this is a great chance to like go out, learn more about these instruments, learn about everything from the architecture in game to the creatures, the inspiration sources, the mythology, the history. There's so much stuff that's really good, and it's all in there. I just honestly, personally, am super glad that they decided to lean into one element to really explore. And of course, there's going to be a bit of a hybrid effect. McLean himself comes from a Western musical background, so there will be fusion there. But like we were talking about earlier in this main theme as well, those synths, the technological elements, the like modern music meets traditional instrumentation meets, I honestly think it is such a joy to listen to. I love it. I love it.
I need more synth though. I need like
I think you're gonna get it. I think you're honestly gonna get it.
Prog synth.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Like postmodern kind of like synth. I know what you mean. I'm massively into it. If you wanna hear like exclamation mark tunes in the chat, if you wanna get some synth going down, I've got
We're
some
gonna get some
copyright-free
EDM.
stuff.
We're gonna say EDM.
It's not
in New
EDM.
Planning City.
No. It's not EDM. It's not EDM boots. It's flipping, it's 80s synthwave.
I know. I want to take
it's dark synthwave as well. Okay, it's flipping EDM.
Ooh, dark synthwave.
Dark synthwave is proper edgy. So
proper edgy.
But most of it's got metal in there as well,
Yeah,
80s metal. So like, Dance
That's
with the
one
Dead,
thing.
all that kind of stuff.
That's the one thing I didn't agree with McLean Dimer in the thing. He said, okay, we put some synth in here, right? We put some synth in here, but we didn't want it because if you have too much synth, it sounds too science fiction-y, and we didn't really want to do that with it. It was like, no. I want it to be full science fiction.
I was with you. I was so with you. I was like, well, yeah, I want that. Give it to me. Well, let's listen to the slums actually, because I think that's an important.
Yes.
That's probably one of the biggest evolutions that we've heard in Guild Wars 2 music like today, and I think we're gonna hear a lot more of that. And I've always talked about Blade Runner and like the influence of that in Ender Dragons, especially like more so at night and just the holograms and stuff like that. And I think there's a lot of people who really do use that movie for like some of the influences. Well, I like to think so anyway. But like, I feel like they will. I feel like they will, Boots. I'm hoping for the synth. Let's see if we can find it.
So about that too. Maybe he's just reserving. Maybe he's just reserving the pure science fiction-y synth for the next expansion when we go to space.
Also, we don't kink shame as well, by the way, and it is good for many peeps. I'm just saying, like, I know no one said anything else as well, but if you're into what you're into and it's legal and above board and it's fully respectful and people are agreeing to the things, then it's all good.
What if Nickelback is your thing?
This is related to chat comments specifically, and not to anything someone said just now.
So out of the left field.
Any audio listeners are like, and I'm listening to Boots, and we're talking about music and McLean, and then Jeb's like, and everybody, we don't kink shame.
Don't kink shame Boots.
No, I'm not.
Boots' kink
not
is clearly Guild Wars 2 in space. Don't kink.
I mean, like, that's legitimate.
I mean,
I would
speaking
never
about
say
music, Rihanna's S&M, Chains and Whips excite me.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
That's what Boots wants.
And that's how we connect it back to
Thank
the
you very
physical
much, Chris.
narrative.
You've done this a couple of times today. This is very impressive. Okay, you're
I'm
coming.
quite
You're
talented.
welcome back next week.
All right, when you said chains and whips excite me, who did you say said that?
Rihanna.
I'm pretty sure
Or
Rooks
Rihanna.
has said that.
And that's whips.
Oh my gosh, you're going all the way back to my elite speculation.
That's
weapons
right.
empire?
Yeah.
Yes, I
course.
did
Pulled that one from the back of the catalog.
and no one can shame me because it would have been amazing. I'm just gonna
See?
say that.
See?
Mhm.
Let's
A
listen to
moment
the
of silence.
soundtrack.
Let's listen to the song. Yeah.
A moment of silence for the whip. Oh.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
This just makes me excited for the actual zone. Because it really does give you that dark, kind of petrified, kind of old, kind of just destroyed and just Boots said undead earlier, I think, as well. Like that kind of zone as well makes me think of like Harbinger a lot as well for some reason, just like Necro, I guess. But like, what do you think about the song?
So it was very nice, very slummy, very dark. But I was gonna say just the
right,
distortion. I'm okay.
We don't have to keep
Just screaming
talking
into my
if you're gonna
crotch.
puke. Is it the same as
Just-
screaming into the void? I'm
No,
just like,
that
Oh, Jebro!
that
Wow.
could have been very complimentary, actually, if you think about it.
Rude. Complimentary. Rude.
No, what are you talking
That's
about?
my job.
I was being nice.
Jebro has different words for crotch. One is the void. So
I don't know. I don't know.
So just at the end, the cello, the distortion that they put on the cello at the end of there is like that. It's just so that it's very.
Sorry, can you do that again? I
sci-fi
just
and
want
gonna
to
say.
make sure that I get that sound. Can you do that again, please?
just the, but I need to. Is it screaming to the?
Someone's gonna
That is
clip
not
that.
the
You're gonna regret
How
that.
you chickened out on that.
You're gonna regret
You have to
that.
commit.
You got down there and you were like, "Oh no, I can't do
You
this."
went,
I don't know what
I know
Chris,
you're
what
gonna
did you
say.
do? How do you do it?
I
Show me.
went-
Figure it out. No, stop it, please, everyone.
You
It was
gotta
more-
let it all out right onto the
It was-
floor.
it was like a.
Oh, that's
that.
what it was. Okay.
I'm gonna
It
die.
wasn't-
I'm gonna die. Actually,
It's a bit guttural, a bit deeper.
Okay.
Oh my
deeper,
god,
deeper.
stop talking. I'm gonna have a heart attack. I think I'm having one.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let me get us back on topic.
I think Preston's on the same wavelength as me right now. I think everyone's starting to slowly get there as well. Oh my god. I'm just like, you guys continue, peeps continue, and I will just completely lose my shit.
I'm looking at the stream now, and it really looks like I just threw up.
Yeah, that's exactly what I look like.
Yeah.
So
I do want to actually comment off of what you were saying before you did that pathetic crotch scream, Boots.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Whoa.
Look, you can try again in the future. Sometimes we mess up the first go. That's okay. It's
episode
very-
40 is the place to do it. That's all I'm gonna say.
So I love it. I love that sound. Not the crotch scream. I do. That's my new favorite sound. But I love, like you were saying, that like wah 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 noise, because there is such an incredible fusion of all the things that McLean was talking about.
Walking
oh my
We're talking here.
Walking it,
talking
man.
about today.
Sorry, I
No
don't know
one
what I did.
opens the door for a native New Yorker. Whoa.
Wow, you did the face as well. You did like a face that was very good as well. I was like, I was there. I was there, Chris.
Oh my gosh. I'm dying. So no, there were such a fusion of things that he was talking about in that one snippet, right? He somehow, like, the audio team and his composition and everything, right, perfectly matches that, like, timbre of the I think it said cello in the overlay, right?
Yes.
So the cello, like the way that it morphs into that more synth, and then also that vibrato effect that's in it, where, like, he was talking about the emphasis of vibrato in Korean music in particular, and the way that that kind of like pulsing sound can then also be used in something like this. I love this. I think it is so beautiful.
I know he said that he doesn't want to go too sci-fi, but that distortion at the end there, that is pure sci-fi, and I love it too. Yeah.
Oh.
I was gonna say, don't say that. You will lose that battle.
They're basically the same.
No, oh God, no, Crew. Save yourself.
I've talked to enough New Yorkers. It's basically the same.
Proof is trying to defend themselves in the chat that that's an authentic New York accent for anyone who's listening.
Thank you again. Well, I'm failing at my job today.
But
it's been a week.
From the age of 10 to 15.
Oh God. So
I have to agree. The Slums piece was, I think, one of my most favorite musical pieces that I've heard from Guild Wars 2 in a long time. It really reminded me of the Macbeth soundtrack from 2016 and Arrival. Those soundtracks, they're very like, they fill a lot of space. There's a lot of distortion to them at times. It feels kind of abstract, or like this isn't really how it should sound, but it is sounding like it, and it kind of tells its own story. So I really, really loved the Slums, and I'm probably going to be playing that multiple times. I'm going to go out on a walk
and honestly,
just, like, get lost in it.
And honestly, I'm just going to put it out there. I played Cyberpunk 2077. Sounds a little bit like some of the sounds in Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I was saying, like, New World as well. There's a lot of soundtrack. There's that same kind of influence there as well. Like, it gives you, and because New World is very dark, and it does have that very gothic kind of dark and just death feeling about it, but it's also like very melancholic as well. It's just, do you know what I mean? Like, it kind of sounds depressive and like impoverished, and just like, it just sounds, do you know what I mean? It just sounds like that, and it's so good. I love it when songs like that.
I also really love, a lot of people have been saying, and I like hearing what everybody, so feel free, like, leave your thoughts in the descriptions or wherever too, because the things that it evokes, people were saying it feels kind of underwater. It feels like there's a lot of suspense. It feels like you're in some dark depth, right? And I think all of that as well is also so perfect for this, right? Like McLean, oh my gosh, I almost just did it again, twalked. I don't know what's happening.
All about?
Is it the whole bird thing? Like twit, like, you know, twat.
I don't know what it is.
Maybe it is. You're just trying to get into your role playing, immersive.
I'm too excited about the music, and I've lost the ability to form words currently. So yeah, he talked a lot about the ways that it seemed like almost, and I would love to hear even more about this, but the ways that he drew inspiration for zones, where they were talking about, like, and with the sound design team, the representative there too, where they were talking about, like, well, it's stone, or it's glassy, or it's, and so having these visceral feelings. And then when you think about something like the Slums, right, and even just how it looked, at least when we saw it in Factions, that kind of, the fact that it was at the bottom, like the lowest point, and also had a lot of people who were at their lowest point, that it was overcrowded in a sense, but like, this music isn't busy, right? But it is oppressive, and like the weight of it and the texture of it, and it's kind of slow and mysterious and tense, and like, I love it because, again,
oppressive is a very good word for it. Oppressive is a very good word.
I love that, and it feels like you can almost get a sense of the texture of that place just from the piece, which is so cool.
Agreed.
Okay, well,
I know there's at least one more song in there.
Yeah, I can't find it.
It was the one where they like broke it down, right? They broke it down into the different parts.
That was just the main theme.
Was the Slums as well.
I don't think it was the main theme.
The main theme?
I think it was the main theme.
I don't think it was the main theme.
The Slums was, and they did the cello part as well.
I think they did the main theme.
Oh,
then they showed they showed the slums, and then they did the breakdown of the mastering for the main theme.
And they showed the instruments as well on their own.
Yes.
Oh
no. The one where you were talking about the stems and how they did a bunch of different mixing of it. I think, that one.
Yeah.
It's towards the end.
Let me just get this going. Yeah, with the percussion and stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, this bit.
All right, let me rewind it a bit because it's a bit before that. All right, there we go. Alternative mixes. There you go. I don't know if this was the main theme. I can't remember specifically.
I don't think it is.
It's a little different.
And again, you can hear just a lot of the different like single melodic lines that are layered over each other. It's so cool.
Just the brass right there. It's gone, and now it goes away for the rest of this part, but so all of these two parts afterwards combined was the full mix. But it's crazy how all three sound so different from each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, they are almost their own independent things, right? Again, like it's not all just like one big stacked harmony. It's these different little elements, like you talked about, like a little pop of, brass, a little thing here. It actually reminds me quite a bit of some of the Miyazaki film soundtracks. Spirited Away in particular came to mind, where they have that kind of like little like a pitch that comes in, or this, I love that. All the pieces are just parts of it.
Yeah, it's like Peter and the Wolf, right? They have the themes for each individual character, and then they come in whenever they're on the screen together. And and I think that's what they like doing for a lot of movies. They have like a main theme, and then play with that main theme throughout.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Daft Punk did that in Tron, the second Tron movie. Like they did that so much, like many times. It was just like different, it's all awesome. So many soundtracks. Elder Scrolls Online do that quite a lot as well, actually, in different places.
Yeah, as Obi says, a leitmotif.
Yes.
It's essentially like a musical thought, right? It's a musical motif, a little snippet of melody or something like that returns over and over and is reinterpreted in different contexts, usually to represent something. That could be like a specific idea. It could be like there's all kinds of stuff that have represented throughout musical history, from stuff like this means the devil, or like this means, like this is springtime, or they create little snippets that kind of build, again, the language of what you're listening to and what it might mean in that context.
Yeah, or like Aerith's theme from Final Fantasy VII, where throughout the game, whenever it's played, it's like, oh, Aerith's here. And then now when you play the remake, every time it comes on the screen, you're like, oh, fuck. But it doesn't really matter in the remake, so.
I dropped an F-bomb as well. That's rude.
Oh, is that on the screen? Is this a child-friendly stream? I had no
Everybody
idea.
Gets one F-bomb. It's like a PG-13
I just
film.
say try and like swear less. That's all. I mean, it's technically on my channel, so it's not completely family. It's definitely not family friendly. You have to click the 18 mature button. It's more for like Spotify and iTunes and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, doesn't matter. It's more a joke. It's true. I did curse in the first 5 minutes. It's true, but it was to emphasize a point.
Oh yeah, but when Boots says it, it's not.
Because it's my show. It's actually not my show. It's everyone's show. So, is there anything else we want to mention or talk about? I think we could maybe, and if there is, then we can talk about that. Rook has a finger.
there were two tiny things that I thought were really neat takeaways from this stream. One, I loved the discussion of when they were talking about, it was the Echovald Wilds and the fact that apparently they went out to a frozen lake and skipped a rock across it and captured audio from that. I was like, that's incredible and that's perfect. And then the fact that in the Jade Sea, they apparently featured my brain has shorted out.
They made a new instrument out of glass.
Yeah, it's like it's a percussion instrument.
It was the room, wasn't it? A room they was talking about.
No, it's not. It's like a xylophone, but it's big. And I'm trying to remember. For some reason, my music knowledge is failing me.
It's not a kalimba. It's a something ba.
Marimba.
Yes.
Everyone in chat,
Marimba.
give Rook your music knowledge energy.
Help me!
It's not a theremin.
It's a big it's a
Theremins
big
are cool,
stand-up percussion instrument that usually it has like flat metal rods, and you not cowbell, not
cowbell?
marimba.
I think it's
wow, amazing. No,
Let's get
marimba.
cowbell. Let's go.
Marimba. I think it's
Marimba.
marimba. And instead, there's a new version of it that's come out that has glass on it, and like they're pieces of glass that you hit instead, and that it has this kind of crystalline tinkling sound to it in a sense. And I thought that was incredible. So again, I loved those details about how they embodied the sound. And then the little note that we got about multi-directional audio and how they even mix their musical pieces with that in mind, and that there are directional components to the music as opposed to just a flat like listening experience. That I think is so fantastic, and a piece of audio design in Guild Wars 2 that people don't talk about enough. Because with all of the in-the-moment action, combat stuff that you're doing, whether it's a voice of somebody that's running alongside you calling out, because everything is voiced in this game, which is amazing, or it's the actual musical atmosphere, the way that they do directional audio in this game is really unique, and it was super cool to see that setup on the stream and like how he was mixing the audio with this like box where it wasn't that he was envisioning it again in flat space. He was moving these little dots around to like position which was where and what and which speaker, and I thought that was fantastic.
The amount of time that must take as well.
For 58 tracks.
Oh, 2.5 hour long.
And it's not even just like maybe the whole track itself. It's like different parts of the track, right? Like, is there sounds we want to make more? Like, here's the mix, and then here's the sounds we want to really kind of accentuate. Maybe if you move closer and stuff like this. I mean, maybe I don't know if that's something they did, but it's interesting. Was the other thing? Did you say another thing, Rook? You said two. You did two.
The inspiration. I did the inspiration for the glass. The ice. The stone skipping across frozen ice. The glass marimba, which I'm finding out now is called a crystallophone or a vitraphone. That's neat. And then the multi-directional. Those are the three things that I brought up.
Okay, cool.
Crystallophone and vitraphone. Is that the same thing that they used for the Mesmer Shatters originally?
I feel like they just threw a bunch of glass plates on the floor.
I think they just did that. I mean, they just smashed some glass.
I didn't think so, because I thought if you play the Mesmer Shatter backwards, it's the Guild Wars 2 theme.
What?
Yeah.
I think Boots is having you on.
Huh?
I was said that phrase for a long time.
What type of fever dream?
I'm going to play it. I'm going to look. Oh, Time Warp. Oh, Time Warp.
Oh, it could be Time Warp.
Thank you, Preston.
Oh, that's an actual thing? No, don't. No.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to go and like record footage and then play it in reverse.
Yeah, I was going to say. And now the stream is ending. Okay, so... We still managed to talk a while about that, so that was good. We're going to talk about very quickly about balance, because it's not big, but it is big at the same time. I just checked a couple of things out for Necro, and I know what that's about. Is that okay, everyone? Are we okay to do that? Bounce over just for a moment?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
It's not big balance, but it's big rolls in PvP more than anything. So if you don't know, meta at the moment in Guild Wars 2 PvP, meta is a weird one, especially post 2016 PvP in Guild Wars 2, because really it's just anything that you can get your hands on nowadays. It feels like, because build craft is not as much as and not as great as what it was, but that's also due to a little bit of balance, and that's what they're doing pre End of Dragons, because they don't want things to be ridiculously strong before we go into the expansion. We don't want people in PvP just playing the same stuff all the time. So they've nerfed some key builds. It looks like Necro, Minimancer, PvP, Core Guardian support, Flamethrower Engineer, damn it. And there's one more, right? Tempest. They've looked at Shadow Arts Thief. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at Shadow Arts Thief yet, but it looks like mostly on the Necro scale of things, they have gone for reduction of survivability, mostly, or bloodline, like vampiric trait lines, all that kind of stuff. They've actually increased, there's a massive summon fleshworm increased cooldown from 32 seconds to 40 seconds is huge, because you use that massively in PvP to escape. So if you know what Necro does, it's a minion, basically. You plant it down wherever you want its target ability, then you can hit it again and you teleport it, and it's a big escape. It's a stun break basically, and it kind of does some poison damage at the same time. Do we want to read through this? Does anyone want to read it? Do we want to read it? Is it worth reading it, or should we just pick off it? I don't know.
If we read it, it has to be proof in the New York accent.
Oh my god.
No.
Okay,
I'm gonna say I'm gonna say no.
Hi everyone. In addition to bringing new elite specializations, the End of Dragons release will include a handful of PvP balance changes.
No, please don't.
Okay.
Please don't. You can read it normally if you would like to, or Rook.
Then in that case, it has to be Rook in a British accent.
Hello, Governor. Welcome to the PvP changes coming up.
Oh God.
I'm sorry. I specifically picked the most terrible line I could think of to start that off, and I feel bad. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Everyone just went very cockney for a second. You just sounded like my sister.
Hello, everybody. Here's Jebro's sister here to give you the latest.
No, that's more posh. That's way too posh for my sister.
Okay, all right.
I'm excited about the Carl's Jr. Cup. I'm gonna go to Carl's Jr. and get a sandwich and be like, I got a cup, please.
Can you get it now though? Oh, what?
I think so.
No, I think it's
when does
after. I think it's after lunch.
That Carl's Jr. Cup looks like
launch.
It looks like it's a Star Wars cup from 1980.
A little.
Well, they did those cups, didn't they? Those the old school promotional things. Yeah. It was Star Wars, Clone Wars, and all that.
There are some questions about this, and Boots, you even had a question about this, right? What is Carl's Jr.? Okay, so Carl Jr. or Hardee's are a fast food chain. They're a fast food chain, and they're kind of like Wendy's. Or
when you said and/or, do you mean they're the same thing?
Yeah, they have two names.
It's the same thing, but I think the name is different. Yeah.
West Coast, it's Carl's Jr. East Coast or Midwest, it's Hardee's.
Really?
Is Hardee's the place where it's like they make sandwiches?
It's not Quiznos again, is it?
Yes, it's the only place.
Also,
is it the place where they go, we got the meat?
No, I don't think so.
No? Okay.
I don't think so, Boots. Maybe.
That's Arby's.
That's Arby's. Okay.
It's kind of like that, sure.
And that's a catchphrase? Why?
Yeah, it's
Why would
Arby's.
you do that?
We have the meats.
We have the meats.
Look, some people don't like meat, okay? They're going to go wherever they can get it.
We are farmers.
Wherever they can get it.
They should redo it like Arby's.
Anyway, balance. A little tiny bit of balance.
We have the meats. Was that good? I don't know.
You either have the meats or you're screaming into the void.
That's
you
it.
You either have
That's
the
true.
meats or you're going to the streets. Get out of here.
Okay.
So PvP and Guild Wars 2.
Lesser inferior. I think it's just. Oh wait.
Let's just do overview. How about this?
Reduce the amount of life force granted when exiting the transformation from 15% to 5% as well.
Yeah,
That's quite a big one.
So here's the overview for Necromancer. For Necromancer, they nerfed basically the lifesteal. They nerfed lifesteal and a little bit about the minions, basically, because of the Lich.
And Shroud as well. And
the Lich was a big hit.
Yeah, that's
so
one
they
of the
tried
biggest
to nerf
ones,
the sustain on Necromancer.
And damage, actually, because Deathly Claws is that's a big one.
So that's good because they were overperforming core build, that's for sure. They nerfed the cooldown on the Signet of Mercy for Core Guardian support. That's not a lot though. They didn't do much to that to Core Guardian support. And it's debatable whether or not Core Guardian support needs to be nerfed, I guess.
Yeah, well, a lot of people try to. It's like Sanctuary is an option instead of Signet of Mercy now as well. So like, it's like it's a whatever.
I just think that all res signets should be either 100 seconds or more for a cooldown.
That's
so
fair.
I would like to see more signet skills or resurrection skills have an increased cooldown.
Yeah, and likewise, they did the same thing to Glyph of Renewal for Tempest. It goes from 9 to 5, but they buffed everything else about Tempest. So Tempest got buffed.
They're trying to let it compete with it because the survivability is the problem. So increasing protection is good.
Yeah, you're gonna get a lot more dodges with latent stamina.
Yeah.
Not a huge amount of buffs, but the healing coefficient on Elemental Bastion is pretty good there now. 0.8 versus 0.55. And they're trying to nerf in PvP only. They're trying to nerf Shadow Arts Thief, like just the amount of blinding and going invisible that they have.
Because they could 1v1 pretty well to a degree.
Yeah, I mean, you lose the point, but you 1v1 anything.
Yeah.
But in World vs. World, they didn't do anything to it, and in World vs. World, it's just you never lose if you're a.
Is it
Shadow
pretty ridiculous? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Flamethrower scrapper.
You might have a hard time actually killing everything, but you never die. So, and then finally, Flamethrower Scrapture.
Yeah, this is a sadness. I mean, it is. The thing is, Flamethrower Scrapper can be so outplayed so easily, but people just don't know how to do it. Like, you just gotta because it's Flamethrower Scrapper is just like press one build almost that you can do, but there's a lot more utility to it. There's a knockback, there's a blind, there's an AoE fire field which you use to blast and you can get might off of, and you can also just dip into other abilities. But the main thing about it is stability, obviously.
I will agree with you.
Permanent stability as well as quickness. Yes. And that's the
problem.
They
even say that in the blurb here. Here's the problem. This is the issue. So what they did to nerf Flamethrower Scrapper is they reduced the damage on the auto attack, the main part of the only damage
that's
from
like
it,
almost
basically,
half though.
They nerfed it in half.
It's
an
auto
attack.
It's
pretty... but it's the only damage it gets.
Yeah, it's a long range auto attack with a decent cone.
It's mid range.
Anyway,
not long range. It's a longer range.
My point is this: I understand. Kroof, you are a guardian, right?
Yes. I have a lot of... I don't like these changes.
So I understand why you don't like Flamethrower Scrappers as a guardian, because a guardian relies heavily on Aegis.
You could say it rips through Aegis there.
And
what did you do?
Such an angry, disapproving little frog.
What did you do?
You just smushed down. You're just like, I don't like what Boots is saying.
No. I bit my tongue. Continue, Boots.
I understand why you don't like Flamethrower Scrapper, because Flamethrower rips through all of your Aegis really quickly, and there's no such thing as like a one impactful hit from a Flamethrower Scrapper, because every hit is the same amount of damage, and it just removes all your Aegis, and it doesn't really, you can't block big hits with the Aegis anymore.
That's not why I dislike. I think it just is an overpowered auto attack ability. Doesn't have a cooldown, has decent range. Not only does it do good base damage, but you gain additional damage against burning enemies. On Flamethrower, there's a lot of burning and other applications of burning, so it becomes a really powerful ability.
Yeah, I agree.
The trait is the problem.
So the problem here is that what I'm hearing from you is that it's too easy to play because it's just an auto attack build. So it's too easy to be okay.
the main issue is the auto attack, but as I had mentioned, for now they're looking at the trait, which really is the center issue because it is so strong when you trait it. Because then you're you cannot.
But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. They say they're looking at the Juggernaut trait, and I agree with them that is probably the problematic thing about Flamethrower Scrapper is that particular trait giving you permanent stability. But then why nerf Flamethrower Scrapper to the ground by destroying its damage?
They've done
and not touching the trait.
It's not even like shaving it. They've just gone F you, basically. They've just been like it was like back. The thing is that if you go hardcore into that as well, your survivability isn't great. So that they haven't it's because of how many people have picked it up. And they're doing okay, but PvP ranked is so not a good way to balance the game in PvP.
And it's only really good. It's only really good in gold and below.
Yeah, exactly.
PvP. It's not a high functioning build. It's not. So
it's one of those builds that gets people into PvP, in my opinion. It's like Minion Manson Necro, and it's like DH, and it's like some other really simple builds that are easy to play that can put someone in to a point where they will learn to play the game at a better level. I agree that they should nerf it for now while they're looking at trait lines, but this is what
they're doing is they're guaranteeing that nobody's going to play it, and they won't have to look at the Juggernaut trait.
Exactly, yeah. Then that's the thing right now. This is a hard fix. It's it feels kind of crappy. I'm not gonna lie.
So let me see if I understand this. As somebody who does not ever play PvP, sorry.
It's okay. We kind of left you out of this conversation. I apologize.
You know what? It's okay because I had a lot to say about music, so I'm very happy for all of you to be talking.
Go away, excited.
But let me see if I can translate this from what I'm getting from all of you. So the idea is that does this have to do with the passive ongoing damage of Engineer, where there's you're putting down. It's using your flamethrower kit, or it's using.
Flamethrower.
Okay.
Yeah, and
so you're using your flamethrower kit, and there's a trait that makes it incredibly powerful.
Yes.
When you inflict burning onto a target, you do an extra amount of damage. But the problem is is when you've got the kit equipped, is that you've got permanent stability. And in PvP, especially because they did remove stability for a lot of classes, and CC is even more king nowadays than anything else, which is a good thing. But Engineer can just stand up the whole time.
It's not just might. It's not just stability. Preston makes a good point. It also is might. So you can single-handedly.
It's a lot of stuff.
While they might have, on the surface level, decreased its base coefficient, but I don't think they touch the extra damage, and you can still generate might with that trait. So you can still kind of get back to where you were at.
You'll literally be doing 60% of the damage you were doing before, which is not great.
And also,
might is a nice little padding.
But it's also the quickness as well that you get from if you run Scrapper Flamethrower. Like you get a lot of quickness, and you can get the quickness for yourself and your team, and you become a really good team fighter. So that is still there. But if you get swiftness, and also you go a build where swiftness / super speed makes your attacks even stronger, increases your damage, there is a lot of synergy in this build where it does become pretty powerful, and you can do a lot of burst damage to the point where it's almost like a Guardian True Shot hitting you, which is quite painful. Trust me, I've got so many builds on this, and I played it a lot, and I was probably the person who made it popular in the first place. I am sorry about that. But it is it's pretty good, but it just feels like I don't want that to be the approach to balance. That's my problem. I have the problem where nerfing ability and half damage is kind of a bandage that I don't want to see done in
nerfing an ability to half damage, which is the only thing that does damage on
that's it. It's literally out of the kit. You're so right though, because the rest of it's utility. There's a blast which does nothing. There's a knockback. There's the fire field does nothing in PvP because it's just a fire field on the floor and it's a line. It's and the fifth skill is a blind. So it's it just feels weird.
I think if they increase the burning on another ability, but that's condition damage. I think flamethrower is more power focused.
They changed it to a power weapon, ages ago.
So I think if they were to offset that by adding a little bit more damage to other areas, however, I do agree. I don't mind seeing damage coefficients be nerfed, especially if it's an auto attack. It's an auto attack that doesn't require you to have as much stick to the target. A lot of abilities have like 130, 150 range, very close. Flamethrower has like what, 300 something, or you can have a nice little safety.
600.
And it has no cooldown. It's a channel.
450.
There's no cooldown. It's a channel. It's a multi-hit attack. If you proc that with other things that you get from like might or other traits or effects that are applied to you, it can steamroll pretty quickly. I think this might be a little bit of a reactionary situation, similar to like the Mystic Coin debacle that was happening. I don't think this will be terrible. I think
it's not the best thing in the world.
I just don't think it needed it at all.
I mean, that's it. I agree. I think
a lot of things in PvP need some nerfs.
Well, yeah, I mean, that is the thing that out of anything that got changed, I'm like, why? But also, it's not really just. I honestly don't care about it. It can be just nerf whatever, but I don't want that to be. I think my main concern is with balance. If they do this kind of thing all the time with stuff, and they haven't got the time. As they're talking about balance shifting and doing more regular balance, if they just nerf stuff like that instead of looking at the traits, that isn't going to make me massively happy. I'm just saying, like, having more regular balance is about like having effective quality of control over traits and abilities and everything encompassed into one thing, rather than just being like, you know what? We said we're going to do more balance, so let's just like take down these numbers by half because it's kind of sucking right now for people. Like that is really, really band-aid fixing, and it's not balanced to me. That's just easy fixes.
I would say that the thing I definitely agree with Kroof is that, and I think Jebro said it at the beginning too, that I think the reason why they want to do it this way, the only reason they would seem to be wanting to do it this way is because it makes it too easy to just get all your damage from auto attacking and
absolutely.
And maybe they want to nerf that now, so that, and they're nerfing it right when End of Dragons comes out, because maybe they want the Mechanist to be the easy thing to play, because it is just an AI build that you're going to run around with. So maybe they're making room for the Mechanist to be the easy thing to play. Because maybe, engineers would be like, why would I want to play the Mechanist as an easy thing to play in PvP when I just have Flamethrower Scrapper? That's also easy. So maybe that's what's going on, but I don't know. I just don't think it's a great idea.
Yeah. Anyway, I won't harp on it too much. I just like Engineer. It was just it was just like, I didn't play Flamethrower ever, and it was like, finally I'm like, oh, it's a kit. I don't use bombs anymore because bombs aren't great in PvP as well. Oh, now I can't use Flamethrower. So it's like, you've got 2 kits you can use out of 4, and it's just like, really? I mean, come on, man. You don't use turrets either. Engineers just getting like destroyed. I just want them to do something with some of the stuff, it's just because it's my baby, man. It's my baby, okay? I want it to be looked after a little bit more. That was a very interesting thing. Anyway, passionate about balance and PvP and Guild Wars 2. Always have been, always will be, and I'll always get on my high horse.
As a Guardian main,
who cares about you?
I'm my mom.
Guardian is one of my most played classes. I declare. I haven't gone. Say what you were gonna say. I'm sorry. I like Guardian too.
Very much hurt.
I like Guardian.
Appalled.
Guardian, Necro, and Engineer are my main classes. Go on.
Okay, so for Guardian, I'm actually really shocked that we have not gotten more nerfs. I feel like I'm a Guardian main.
With what?
With
Dragon
Guardian.
Hunter, probably.
No, with core support, Dragon Hunter, Firebrand. I feel like
PvP?
there's
Are you talking about PvP or just
PvP.
generally? Oh, okay. Firebrand's
PvP
fine
mostly.
in PvP. No one plays it.
Well, no one plays it because core Guardian is so much stronger. But even still, I think PvE actually, I would like to see some Firebrand changes. But because this is PvP discussion, I know I'm a Guardian main, and I know you should be ride or dying for your main profession, but it's been like 3 years since I felt that Guardian has received any logical nerf ever. And I'm really shocked that they didn't hit it more. All that they did was they increased the cooldown for the res signet. And while that's actually a really great start, and I really appreciate that, Core Guardian is so much more strong because you don't have to worry about people going down. Like if you have a good Guardian player, you won't have your allies going down. The main res healer, in my opinion, is Necro. If you come over to my channel, I can teach you. But,
I'm not saying you aren't a good player. I am also a very good Guardian support player because I've been playing for years.
I never said that you accused me of being a bad Guardian
you
player.
insinuated it, so how dare you?
But I was really expecting them to like hit like the pure voice trait that affects shouts, or to like actually hit the like stand your ground, where it only applies one stack of stability instead of 5, or you know, slightly reducing some healing components. So I'm still a little like, why are they not
don't ban Preston
focusing on Guardian more?
Well, I wonder if it's because they feel like if you start adjusting a lot of the traits, and this is a thing, maybe the worry they have here as well, maybe why they've done it like this, is because of the interaction.
Guardian has not received plenty of nerfs.
Guardian has.
To answer to no.
A little bit.
Firebrand, perhaps. In PvP, Firebrand maybe. I think Firebrand actually. But Firebrand isn't. Here's the thing: Firebrand in PvP is not bad. I think people often say like, oh, it's nerfed, it's bad, no one plays it. No, the fact is that core Guardian is so much stronger.
Yeah,
I've actually played multiple ranked games as Firebrand, and while I can comparatively say that playing core Guardian, I might have had an easier time and actually gotten more out of it. Playing Firebrand in Comped, I'm like, I can still do things pretty well. I can still heal, I still have decent access to Aegis and protective abilities.
But Kroof, also, you know why you're doing pretty well in PvP still, don't you, as well?
I haven't touched PvP in like months, actually.
Okay, well, thank you for disproving your own point. That's not what I was going to say. I was going to say PvP is not just about build. Like, it's about knowledge of the game and rotational play and like matchups and stuff. You know how to do that. There's a movement aspect,
but when you are actually comparing a fight in a fight between two classes, I get the impression that Guardian still needs a little bit of a tougher hand.
Core Guardian can be taken out pretty easy. I think it's because it's so niche, because not many people play it. Like, if you've got one, you're like, yeah, I'm winning. That's it.
I need to go cook dinner.
Okay. She's on dinner patrol. It's okay. PvP is about how mad you can make the other team. That's actually true as well. And your fellow teammates, depending on whether or not you're winning or losing. That's also very true. Okay, so anyway, I'm sorry, Rick. I feel bad. It's just like sitting here, like watching
Jebro and Kroof argue at each other about.
We're not arguing. No, me and Kroof can talk about this kind of stuff.
Jebro
to the
wasn't even paying attention to me.
Oh, I'm making some popcorn.
Sorry, I'm ready to watch as our podcast devolves into PvP. I'll just be over here,
Kroof,
my little PvE loving self.
I would just say that Kroof is an amazing person. I would like to talk to you more about PvP on one of my streams or yours.
I wish I could say the same, Jebro.
Oh, that's a burn. That's a burn to my void.
I love you, Jebro. I love you. Okay, I'll talk about PvP with you any day of the week.
Let's do it. We'll do a PvP stream. We'll do a PvP pod. Well, I haven't done a PvP podcast yet, actually. Funny, I've got 40 episodes. I haven't done a PvP one. I wonder why. Anyway, let's talk about other things, like going home.
Are you not
going home?
I mean, I am home. Like, you know.
I'm actually just in a cubicle right now. I'm in a stall in a bathroom.
Well, you look like you are because of that thing behind you.
Yeah.
So, that's fair. Boots, do your outro since you want to go.
Yeah. I just can't listen to you guys argue with each other. It just hurts me.
We're not arguing. We're discussing. We're discussing loudly.
That's what my parents said too.
Oh wait! Actually, I got a reply. Sorry. I
don't like when Dad and Dad fight.
So I got a reply from McLean. Thank you, Rita, for the from the information there. But McLean said. I asked the original question, as I said before. I wondered if in Path of Fire you got the opportunity to record people in regions represented in the game, similarly to what you have done in End of Dragons with people from Korea. And he said back, we did a little bit in Path of Fire, but there aren't as many unique solo instruments on that particular score. There's a duduk, a dud, I want to make sure I said that properly, sorry, and a nay on a few tracks, and a cymbalom on a few others. I'm sorry. As well as some Middle Eastern percussion here and there, but that's it. So they actually just didn't even do it at all, by the sounds of it, similarly to End of Dragons. So that's going to be very interesting when we come to listen to the soundtrack and getting into the next expansion, which is coming out in 10 days. And the next episode of the LightBringers will be the final episode before End of Dragons is released, people. Before it is released. Mega hype, excitement, joy, love, and features and all the things. We didn't talk about all the other stuff with Mystic Coins and everything else, because you know what? I don't even care about that anymore, because everyone just get hyped for the expansion. It's gonna be an expansion. People can be sad about the thing. They can leave if they want. They'll come back because it's such a damn good game, and I'm excited. And I know they will, and they probably will. And someone's gonna make a comment about that, but I don't care anymore. Let's go. Boots, what are you doing?
I'm just watching it all.
Yeah, it's bad, isn't it?
So I've been streaming on Twitch at boots underscore, and then
_.
Rarely, but also doing videos over on World of Vendors, but it'll pick back up again with some Boots Bad Bills when EOD launches, probably a few months afterwards because I got to play the game. But that's about it. That's me.
Okay, it's not dot underscore.
Oh, also host of ASCO on the podcast. I've been doing that, but scheduling has been difficult, so we're gonna try to do it soon.
Okay, cool. We may see Boots next week, depending on whether or not their schedule is busy. We'll see. Thank you, Boots. Good to have you here. We missed your face. Croof probably didn't know because Croof is rude.
Sometimes Croof just likes,
I'll have you know, I was the
toast.
only one here trying to find Boots.
Aww.
I was trying to search for him.
That's true.
Wait,
That's
what?
true. Thank you, Croof.
Where would you were lost?
Hide and seek. No.
What?
Hide and seek on Boot stream.
Yeah,
Oh, I do my outro?
Okay.
Can I do my outro now?
You can do yours, Croof, yeah, because you sound like you would need to.
Hi everyone. I don't know what that was about, but I'm Crew. I do some Go2 stuff over on YouTube and here on Twitch throughout the week. It's great being back every week. It just one-ups itself more and more. And I just can't wait to see where this journey all takes us and how much my therapy bill will cost.
What, LightBringers, or are you talking about?
Yes.
It's like, I can take down the world, right? This can go many places. Thank you, Croof. I very much appreciate your face and general person for being here. You aren't fired, not this week. Okay. Rook!
Jebro!
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 Did I drop acid? What is going on?
Now we
Jeb and I were
know.
just riffing. We were just vibing.
That is literally just.
If I didn't know, if you didn't tell us in the stream earlier that you went to music school, that would have let me know.
Are you talking about me, aren't you? You're talking about me, obviously.
Jebro into music school. No, hey everybody. I'm Rook. You can find me on Twitch and on YouTube at Rookery, ROOKURI. You can also find me on Twitter, Rookery_, Instagram, Rookery, all the places. Usually you can find me, Jebro, you totally got me saying that, all the places. Unbelievable. That and Bits and Bob. You infected me with your speech patterns. But I usually stream 2 to 3 days a week live. Then I am on LightBringers podcast on Fridays until Jebro tells me I'm no longer allowed to come back. And then on Saturdays, you can find me on the 8th Right Radio podcast for Final Fantasy 14 with Gamer Escape. And we've got a lot of fun stuff coming up, some big projects and exciting things I can't talk about yet, but keep an eye out. And I can't wait to celebrate End of Dragons with everybody.
Do it. Yes. And also myself, thank you very much, Rick, as well, for being here. A legend, bringing in the knowledge, the music and knowledge today. We muchly appreciate your face. Every week we are here. Okay. Get the Rook Jebro vinyl now. That's the secret track Do you remember when people used to do that? I don't know if they still do that, but like on CDs when they used to have like 20 minutes of a song and it would just be the end, like right at the end of like this 20-minute just
blank silence and then something.
Yeah, I remember Eminem doing that. That's a cheeky track, that is. Follow me in all the places with the things. Twitch.tv/Jebro Unity. It's Jebro Unity because Unity is the guild, but also Unity bring us all together in gaming and all the things. The LightBringers guild will start to go up in the next week and a half before End of Dragons. This is an incentive that I wanted to create to bring loads of people in together. And that's not necessarily saying it's going to take place of your main guild. So if you're in a guild with myself, you're in a guild with Rook or Kroof or Boots, this is an additional thing where I'm trying to get many content creators in there and to organize events, potentially once every day, once every other day, but with a specific mind on the communities, which are more, I would say, might not feel at home in the game specifically for various reasons. We're just gonna be inclusive. You're welcome no matter who you are, as long as you're respectful and just kind and good. You know, we're not all good all the time, I know that, but like, you know, we're gonna get to know you, we're gonna hang out, we're gonna do the things. It could just be whatever. It could just be maybe even Boots is like wants to arrange one of his hide and seek events, and we've got people who can see that chat and he wants to do that. You know, it could be anything. PvP, could be World v World, could be doing anything with any of these awesome teams.
Supposing that I actually plan things ahead of time.
That's true. And I'm sure that every single one of these people is going to be in it as well and is going to help me with loads of stuff and doing events and also doing loads of things. I'm just going to assume that you're going to say yes.
Yeah.
At least they'll get an invite if they want to come and join and have fun with me. I don't know.
That sounds pretty good, Dad. That sounds pretty good. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. But the reason I don't want this to be like a me thing. I want this to be like a loads of people thing, and there's loads of people who've got interest. It's going to be a we. We as in community.
1P.
A 1P.
A we.
Other than, I'm so confused. Oh my god. Oh jeez. You've gone red. I actually a little bit red for you.
I'm a little bit
only a tiny bit. Like I think that's the most red I've ever seen you go, and you do not look red. It's just redder than you normally would go. Sorry about that. Okay, calm down, Rook.
I'm gonna wait until really clips it because I missed it.
Okay. We're gonna see you next week on the last guild. Oh my god!
I know, it's so exciting.
It is, but it's also like kind of sad because I've just enjoyed this ride. It's been pretty wild. Like we've been hanging out for like a lot of episodes. I'm actually kind of sad because this is gonna be the last. Like, it's not like it's the next chapter, but it's almost like it's gonna be. Is it gonna be season 2 of the LightBringers? I think it is. Ooh, it's going to be season 2 post End of Dragons. Maybe new background, maybe new all the things. We'll see the next time on.
New cast.
No, I can't be asked for that. That's way too much effort. Everyone is fired for season 2. Welcome. It's just going to be me and Preston. See you next time on the LightBringers podcast.
I watched that
episode. So would I actually. Episode 40. Coming up soon. See you soon. If we don't see you before the End of Dragons launch, have a fun one. But we will because you want to be here. Bye-bye for now.